you learn these skills, what will you land up?
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's start our class today. We'll begin our class today with a guest teacher, and he's really guest here. He might not be here with us after a couple of weeks, actually, and he is from Australia. Means he just moved from Australia, and he'll give us a little bit of presentation on the application of programming, some things about technology, his own experience working with technology, just so that we can see where this kind of stuff can take us to. So without further introduction and ado, I will ask Brother Majid to take over.
I just wanted to connect this with.
Let's see if it works. To you.
All right, brothers, Assalamu alaikum. So, as mentioned, my name is Majid, and I'm currently working for a company called Ernst & Young. It's a global consultancy company. So I thought may as well share my experience and exposure with you lot. And so whatever you guys are studying, how will you be implementing that in your real life, or whether this is something that you really want to do, or is it you don't want to spend so much time in something that you don't enjoy, or you don't know the final or your vision as to where it will take you. So in my current project, I learned a lot of new skills. Seriously, it was a great learning experience for me. And one thing I've realized is it is very easy to learn. It is. If someone had told me that, I'm not sure if I'm just saying, mention my company's name, so I'll just keep out of the video. So, sure. Okay, so it was my experience with this organization that I realized that if you're persistent and you have this thirst to learn new skills, if you keep applying yourself, you will eventually get it. It is really simple. Even the hardest people will come up with these big words: Hadoop, big data, data integration, architecture. It's like big words, and people like to play with big words because it's very highly paid jobs, right? So, but once you get into it, it is anyone can learn it. You just have to apply yourself, put in a little bit of time and effort. And as many of you will be told, no, you can't do it, it's impossible, it's very difficult, it's this. But seriously, we all have the same neurons in our brain. We just need to activate it. And once you get into it, if you do it for 8 hours a day, anything that you do for 8 hours a day, you learn it in 3 months, right? So just to know. So what I learned was you have to know what's going on. So if you're learning Java and you're actually working for an organization, you should know as to what your role is, because I meet so many people in an organization who are 9 to 5, they're sitting in one cubicle on level 4, and they have no idea. So they come at 9 o'clock, they do their programming, they do whatever they need to do, call center or sales or marketing, whatever, and they just go home. So they don't know the bigger picture of the full organization. So they'll be working for Facebook, Uber, but they would just not know. They just want the paycheck, and they want to go home. So it's good, even as Muslims, it's good to know you're working for an organization. What are they doing? Right? You don't want to work for an organization which is on a larger scale is doing something which you might not agree with, right? So their eventual goal is to have 1 billion videos while working there for maybe like 5,000 hours or 4,000 hours. But that is, you build something which is 90% going to be used for some bad stuff, but it's your hard work as well. Once you pass on, the servers are there and it's your effort. So you have to know, whatever organization you work for, you have to know their strategic goals, strategic vision, and that's where this enterprise architecture comes in. The starting place is enterprise architecture. So every organization like Facebook, Johnson & Johnson, YouTube, whatever it is, they have like a full enterprise architecture. And you guys will be some small piece somewhere, right? But it's important to know who you are and what your skills are and how you can progress up the ladder. You don't want to be a developer for the rest of your life, or a sales guy, or a help desk, right? I'm just talking about you, especially to the young ones. So I just wanted to show you this video. It'll give you a little bit of an understanding as to what enterprise architecture is. It's a big word, but I'm not sure if you know a lot about it, but it's good to grasp these concepts at an early age within IT.
Why enterprise architecture? Well, here's a reason. Michael works at our company. Now, because of new business demands, he is in need of specific data. But his data is spread out over different applications. Exclusively for Michael, a developer writes a program that'll get his data from applications A, B, and C and write it to an Excel file in directory Y. That way, Michael will be able to read all the data in his spreadsheet and use it. Michael then realizes that he needs this on a daily basis. It would save a lot of time if the program ran automatically every day. Therefore, an infrastructure manager writes a batch job to set this up for him. Now, an application flow has been created, especially for Michael, which depends on a number of other applications. But Michael is not the only one who wants to improve his efficiency. So multiply this situation by a few thousand. We call this hairball architecture. Think of it as a huge hairball with fibers going in every possible direction. No one's keeping track of it, and no one has control over it. Now, imagine we have to replace a huge application because it's out of date, and the supplier has said that in 2 years they'll stop the support. We have no idea what the application is connected to. It's an endless network of dependencies, which were all created one at a time. And each connection made sense at the time, but the total is such a chaotic situation that it's impossible to change one aspect without damaging something else. Now that's where enterprise architecture comes in. We have to deal with the IT landscape in such a way that people have the freedom to create improvements and that there's always room for innovation. Architecture makes sure that our IT landscape is robust as well as flexible and efficient. This requires a process to keep things organized. For this reason, each new project needs a project start architecture. This is created by a project architect who is part of the project team. He or she writes a plan explaining how the total landscape will look when the project is complete. This plan includes the applications we've set up, what they do for the business, and the hardware they require. The project start architecture is evaluated by the architecture board. In this board, architects from every domain in our company work together and supervise the entire landscape. Summarized, enterprise architecture is about 3 things. We take a look at the existing situation. We help to develop and evaluate designs, and we create a sketch for the future so that everyone understands the direction we're heading. Architecture is about insight and knowledge. The world doesn't lend itself to being easily understood or pinned down in rules. There's no way we can know what the regulators are going to say to us 3 years from now. But what we can do is make choices which will ensure that we will be flexible, robust, and efficient in the future. Because in the end, it's all about maintaining our ability to change. That's why enterprise architecture.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this? Was it easy to understand, or? Yeah, sure.
I understand the concept. That's easy.
Yeah.
Architecture doesn't look easy.
It's a step-by-step process, right? That's where Java comes into play. So if you know a programming language, it can greatly help you. Like you even if you're not a pro in it, eventually what happens is you start off with like a programming skill, like a Java, C, whatever programming language it is, and then you do other courses. They're called architecture courses, and it's just like A, B, C, D. Like you do part A, then B, and if you look at that skill set, it looks like a lot. But if you ask someone like me, I started with just the basics, and then I did something else on top, and then something else on top, and eventually at 5-6 years, as it said, you build up a lot of knowledge about the architecture. So you have 2-3 options, especially with this sort of role. Either within the architecture, you are a developer for a very long time. So what you do is whatever the business tells you, you just write the code, and then you sort of fix the code, or you're a project manager. So all you do is the enterprise will look for business goals. Like for Uber, like we want to expand to Australia, like we want to get rid of all the taxis and have Uber. So that's a huge project, and they'll have these small project managers. Or you can become an architect. So what happens is you go to this big board, it's called architecture board, which they have all the CTOs and their big guns, and they give you this vision. It's called, I put it down there, it's called the organizational strategic goals. You sit with them, and then they will tell you where you want to go, and then you apply those skills, like the skill set that you've learned, and you create that diagram for them. So I'm saying it's not difficult at all, and I'm just encouraging you to learn this skill, this Java skill, and have this as a foundation, and slowly and gradually build on it. And especially in the US, there are a lot of jobs. There are a lot of jobs right now, and you guys should definitely be one of the first people to be applying. So Shah Jahan, I encourage him so much every day to do his Java skills and do his architecture stuff, and get into this high-paying, high-end jobs, which the only thing which it requires is knowledge. So you gain this knowledge, you become really good at it, and then it's the same thing over and over again. So that's my quick review of what I do, and just encouraging you all. It's yeah, sure.
So from where we are right now, without an IT degree or whatever, what's the practical steps you would take to get there? So of course Java first.
So if I were you, I would learn a basic programming language, right? And then I would start off with, these days I would start off with Azure or Amazon Solution Architecture course. It's just one.
Right now.
Yeah, it's one course. Once you're done with that, then you do another course. And I think if you apply yourself, you can do one course in 3 months. So it's like 45 minutes a day for an hour. You can definitely do it, and it's like any other skill. So you have to repeat it again and again. But you have to have some sort of a drive to do it. If your drive is financial freedom, if you really want to have like a top-end job, or if your drive is to know what's going on. So you should know what Facebook is doing or Google is doing. So if someone asks you, you have this big picture of things, why do they have so much of our data? Where does our data go? How do they sell it, or whatever you're a more informed sort of a person, rather than just being this one person in a call center or wherever, picking phone calls and changing passwords or whatever. And I think it's great for us to have this knowledge, especially in this day and age, to be well informed, not just about like things like not just IT, but a lot of things, to be well informed. And again, I say it's not that difficult. So if I could do it, I was very average. I think you guys will definitely go a long way.
Inshallah.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
What do you do?
He has another question.
One more.
What do you do?
We're working as an architect right now.
Is it programming language architect or just idea and applying the idea and gives it to the developer, it is the rest of the job.
No, you might- उधर उसको draw करके देता. So basically what you do is, suppose if you were in my job, right, you attend a lot of these meetings called business school meetings. So it actually, they tell you what they need. So you attend a meeting for this masjid, and then the imam or they will say, all right, what we need to do is with a click of a button, we need all the lights to go on, and with a click of a button, we need all the lights to go off. Now you're not going to do it yourself, right? So I will meet you. So you have some sort of expertise in lights. You have some sort of expertise in electrical wiring. You have some expertise in application on a phone. And then you sit down and then you start creating. It's a very interesting job. It's, I think, a lot better than being just isolated in one area. So when I interact with you guys, I learn so much from you and you and you. And then eventually you come up with this big diagram. And again, you'll make a lot of mistakes. But it's something that is, again, it's not difficult. That's what, once I got into it, I realized this is not that difficult, like, you know, and why it's well paid. But for some reason, I see very few within the community actually doing it. So I was eager enough to encourage you, because I came from Australia, remember, here to work, and I was like, you guys are already here. So you just need to get that skill. And I'm pretty sure most of have green cards and stuff.
No, I don't have a green card.
Everybody's probably citizen.
So there you go. So I encourage you again, even
Or illegal.
Yes. Let's not go there.
So
We're recording.
we are all same, so it doesn't matter.
just encouraging you just to have these goals in your life, just to be the best at what we do. Someone said to me, you get 60, 70 years in your life, right? And it's just once. So why not be the best in what you do? Why just be average? You know, just do whatever you can, just be really good at it, and leave this world a better place. So once they say, when you leave the world should be really sad that you left. So, and you can do it in a lot of ways. I'm just trying to do it in this way. So, all good. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Jazakallah khair, Jazakallah khair, brother. Thank you very much for the
You'll be putting that on
introduction
YouTube?
and encouragement. You will be on the YouTube.